I'm a 35-year-old female thinking along the lines of interaction, not taking a 30-minute break. For example, if a man tries to persuade a woman to dance with him, he has to be somewhat careful how he puts his request in many situations. However, a woman can be much more physical in her approach without consequences. This is a real example from my life. A man was grabbing a woman's hand wanting to dance. The woman said no. The man said, "Sure, come on," and wouldn't let go. The woman got afraid, and other people got upset and came to her rescue. The man is actually a nice guy, but he drank too much and was very sorry. He talked it out with the woman the next day. Imagine if the roles were reversed, which they were. Another night, another man and woman. The woman does the same, saying the man is lucky to get her attention. He's uncomfortable. No one cares, and the woman finds someone else to bother. Story 1. This actually happened to me, a 23-year-old male, last year in a bar. An older lady wanted me to dance, and I said no. She grabbed me by the hand, pulled me up, and started grinding on me. I put my hands in the air, nodded my head no, and began walking away. As I turned, she reached around, put her hand on my crotch, and had a feel. I just kept walking away and saw all my friends laughing at what they saw. I'm personally not affected by what happened, but I did say to my friends that they wouldn't have been laughing if I were a girl and got grabbed by a man. I'd like to clarify something about my friends in the situation. Yes, they had a laugh when it happened, and my first reaction was to also laugh. I think it took us all by surprise. When I sat back down, they had already stopped laughing and asked me if I was okay before I even said anything about them laughing. There were no ill feelings from any of my friends, and every single one of them checked in on me throughout the night, and not one of them made a joke about the situation. I realized my original comment made them seem like mean people, but that's really not the case. Story 2. I was a heavier guy in my younger days, man boobs and all. I can't count how many times a girl grabbed my man boobs as a joke. That's quick jail time if it was the other way around. Story 3. A woman slapped me twice and laughed after that in front of everyone, and no one said a word. We were actually boxing training partners, so we were sparring, and she slapped me. It was not her right to slap, but it was her right to punch because we were practicing how to punch and not slap. Every good sportsperson politely asks if their training partner is hurt or simply apologizes after hurting them in combat sports without exception, except that woman. I asked my coach to change partners, and we did. I never trained with her again. Story 4. A woman can say, "Oh, he is such a gorgeous young boy. He is going to be so handsome when he is all grown up." And it is cute. A man saying, "Oh, she is such a gorgeous young girl. She is going to be so beautiful when she is all grown up." And it is creepy. Story 5. In Germany, a woman can't get sued for exhibitionist acts. If she gets naked in public, it is only considered sexual harassment. A man who harasses another person through an exhibitionist act is punished with a prison sentence of up to 1 year or a fine. Story 6. This one is going to ruffle some feathers. Sexual assault. Of course, it's objectively wrong. But how many men do you hear about trying to talk about it with other men, women, the police, in court, and so on, and get dismissed or laughed at? How often do you see men saying, "I wish that was me. I wish I had her as a teacher. Was it hot? Or it was a female. Why didn't you just throw her off?" When guys confess to it happening to them, disregarding and undermining it because they're callously indifferent. Congratulations if you have a good support network that actually understands and sought to reprimand the assaulter, but I hear about this happening to guys way too often, and it's distressing every time I do. Story 7. I work in a female-dominated organization and was taking a training on mental health first aid as the only man there. There was a 10-minute random discussion on those men in uniform calendars and how attractive they are. Jokes about holding on to hoses and handcuffs were plentiful as I sat there awkwardly trying to just complete the training. My female coworker who attended with me was surprised I could be uncomfortable. I explained she should imagine being in a room with a group of men, mostly older than her, talking about half-nude models from a calendar. Clicked then. Story 8. A woman can say, "My dad treated me like a princess, so you should also do so," and men are expected to follow suit. When a man says, "My mom treated me like a prince," he is considered wrong, and women will respond, "I'm not your mom." Story 9, yelling. You're in public and you see a man yelling at a woman. You instinctively want to stop it. You see a woman yelling at a man, and you hardly even care. That and losing composure in general. Men are expected to be stoic. It's a happy surprise if a woman is stoic. Story 10. Saying things like, "God, I hate men," or "This is why I hate men," seems to be a trendy and acceptable thing for some women to say. An acquaintance recently said this casually in front of me with no regard for the fact that I am, in fact, a man. I know it's hyperbole, so I don't take it too personally. But if I were to say I hate all women in front of a woman, I know it wouldn't go down well, joking or not. When it's directed at men, we're fair game for whatever reason. Story 11. Women can take the hand of a child they don't know and help them find their parents. A man can't even be out with his own child without someone giving him a suspicious look. Women can subtly follow a man or even outright follow, and it's considered cute. A man can't walk in the same direction as a woman for too long without causing issues. Women can often abuse a man with no consequences. He will likely be arrested if he calls the police for domestic violence against him. Story 12. A woman at work said out loud, so that everybody could hear, that she hates men. Room full of people. A coworker, who is a transgender woman, laughed and agreed. No one said anything. Saw a girlfriend on Instagram post a cutesy postcard made by an artist that said, "Kill all men." Another example about expressing anger. At another workplace, a woman got mad at a coworker's mistake. She was furious and stormed out, screaming, "She's being listened to with compassion by the manager." As soon as the man starts venting and showing frustration, he's shut down, told he needs to control himself, and that type of behavior won't be accepted. The mistake was not a big deal, by the way. Story 13. I hate the term mansplaining with a passion. It's unsolicited advice, being condescending or critical. It's not okay for either gender to do it, but it seems that these days only men are called out for it. I've seen and experienced women being extremely critical, condescending, or giving advice or instructions without it being needed or warranted. When they're called out for it, it gets dismissed as a woman being empowered and assertive. Story 14. Sexual assault at work. An older woman grabbed my backside when I was 25 and everyone laughed. I'm sure if I had grabbed one of theirs, it would not have been okay. Clothing at the gym. A woman told me my shorts were too short and that there were young women present. I told her to tell them not to stare, and it was not well received. I can't imagine telling a woman something similar and it going over well. Edit changing harassment to assault. Story 15. Older women can literally express admiration for younger stars like singers or actors and in detail, tell what they want to do with them. If a 45-year-old man were to loudly express what he wants to do with a 19-year-old girl, he would be considered a creep and a dirty old man. Story 16. I saw a post on Reddit where a girl's roommate decided to start walking around naked when the original poster's, boyfriend was visiting. The vast majority of comments were just "bad roommate" or something along those lines. If a man decided to start walking around naked when his roommate's girlfriend was over, it would be sexual harassment, if not worse. Why wasn't this? Story 17. It's socially acceptable for women to be physically abusive still. If a woman hits a man, it's "what did that man do?" If a man hits a woman, he's automatically at fault. There have been plenty of studies about this. Story 18. If you try to leave in anger when you live together, they can do all kinds of things to make you stay, up to and including dragging on the ground, holding onto your ankle as you try desperately to get out of a situation you don't want to be in. But if she wanted to leave and I used my body to make her stay, I would be in jail. Story 19. I don't know if it's okay, but there was a very recent thread on the relationship subreddit where someone's partner hit him out of anger in the shoulder during an argument. All of the top comments discussed the crux of the argument and glossed over the assault at best. If the roles were reversed, it would be full of women telling the woman to run because she is going to get murdered. The most shocking part about this whole thing is that the relationship subreddits are mostly women, so clearly, Most of them at least tolerate the idea of physical violence towards men. Story 20. Assault. It's still so funny to watch women beat men in media. Am I right? Most media still has at least one scene where a woman slaps or beats a man. Domestic violence. Women aren't seen as capable of abuse. Rape. In most countries, women can't be legally arrested for rape unless they're transgender. Transgender women are often seen as capable of rape because they are presumed to have male anatomy. Manipulation. Manipulative women are often seen as attractive, powerful, or praised as girl bosses or queens. Objectification. Women are allowed to objectify men, gay men, and children, as seen in the boys love BL, fan fiction, book, and romance genres. Pedophilia. Headlines about female offenders often describe them as having sex with minors instead of calling it rape. Sexism. Women are allowed to be sexist toward both men and women, as long as it mainly affects men. Harmful behavior from women towards other women is often overlooked. Parenthood. Men are often questioned and criticized if they raise a child by themselves. Consent. Women often face fewer consequences for forcing others into situations they don't want. Assault. Women do not receive the same charges for assaulting a man that a man would receive for assaulting a woman. Self-defense. Men may face prison for defending themselves against women. A single bruise on a woman can label a man as an abuser, regardless of context. False allegations. Women often face fewer consequences for falsely accusing others, as seen in online platforms. Children's mistakes. When young girls lie about their age to meet older men, it is often seen as their mistake. If a young boy does the same with an older woman, he is held accountable. Body shaming. Making fun of men's bodies is seen as humorous, while it is considered sexist to make fun of women's bodies. Ugly shaming. There is a trend of making fun of men who are perceived as less attractive than their girlfriends on social media platforms. Celebrity sexism. Figures like Billie Eilish can be seen as heroes despite past behavior that demeans both men and women. Being transgender. In LGBTQ spaces, trans men are often still viewed as women or as better than men, while trans women are accepted as women. Safe spaces. In LGBTQ-friendly spaces, trans men who pass as cisgender men may be excluded for appearing too cis, which some claim scares women. Speaking about men's issues, discussions about men's struggles are often met with dismissal or correction from some women. Kidnapping. There are incidents where men with children are falsely accused of kidnapping due to bias favoring women's claims. Car insurance. Women and non-binary individuals often receive better car insurance rates. The phrase "I hate men/I hate cis men" is accepted, while "I hate women" is viewed as a severe threat. Such statements are inherently biased against men and trans individuals and can be misogynistic. Feminism should be about equality, not misandry. Misandrist feminists often push potential male allies away by claiming feminism is exclusive to women. You probably deserved it. This phrase was said to me after I revealed past abuse by women. Nobody defended me. I only date men because of women. As a bisexual, expressing fear of dating women due to past experiences with misandry is dismissed or criticized. The phrase "not all men" is not accepted, while "not all women" is frequently used by the same individuals. Interacting with kids or being a teacher as a man often leads to suspicions of pedophilia. Data manipulation. Personal experiences showed a reluctance to accept statistics showing similar levels of sexual assault on men and women. Praising men for anything is often discouraged, while expressing love for women is widely accepted. Crying. Men are often told to suppress their emotions. Discussing areas where women have advantages or addressing negative actions by women often leads to rebuttals highlighting male wrongdoing. Porn. Men are viewed negatively due to fetishistic content online, yet women's consumption of exploitative content is often excused. Gender roles. Boys' love content is defended as an escape from gender roles, yet often enforces toxic stereotypes like dominant versus submissive dynamics. Disclaimers. Men must often preface discussions about their issues with acknowledgments of women's hardships or face backlash. Birth control discussions on platforms like TikTok reveal a double standard in attitudes toward men experiencing medical procedures versus women. In general, women consistently face fewer consequences for socially unacceptable behaviors. Addressing this imbalance often leads to accusations that men are the problem. This content reflects what is deemed acceptable on social media and in groups predominantly occupied by women. Story 21. I've seen women at my job pinch a few men in the butt. If I were to do that as a man, I would be fired on the spot and possibly start a Me Too movement. Story 22. Running your fingers through a stranger's hair. Women have done this to me many times, and frankly, I hate it. It makes me extraordinarily uncomfortable. When I get annoyed because they refuse to stop when asked, I'm always treated as the one overreacting. Story 23. Women on their periods get away with being downright abusive, but if a man has something bad happen or is having a hard time, he is expected to keep himself together. Story 24. Consent and self-defense. All physical touch from a woman is assumed to be acceptable, even desired. If the man rebuffs the advance, she can be as aggressive as she wants with groping and the like, but if he were to push her away, it is viewed as him being the aggressor. Story 25. Society has many misguided interpretations because women are seen as harmless. None of these things are acceptable, but women seem to face fewer or minor consequences compared to men. Being alone with a child in public, like at a playground, or helping a lost child. Sexual assault because only a man can do that. Verbal, emotional, and physical abuse because he can take it, or what did he do to deserve it? Lying to the police or courts. Women can make false reports and nothing happens, like lying about abuse during a divorce or getting him arrested for breaking up with her by hurting herself and showing the police the marks. Sex with minors. Women teachers do this far too frequently and receive much lighter sentences than men who do it. Story 26. I think it's more socially acceptable for women to stalk men than it is for men to stalk women. I don't understand this behavior either way. Once I had to help my mother to stalk my dad.